Hello and welcome. This is going to be a bit of a just very long tutorial on how you can add your own custom levels to Cube Survive World Travels. I realize that this will take a pretty long time, and while it's not as difficult as you might think, it's still fairly difficult, so do be warned. As well, there is the possible, not even possible, there is a pretty good chance that this will spoil things that happen later on in the game. However, the spoilers will either be minor or major. I don't know. I have not recorded it yet, so we're about to find out. So with that said, make sure to remix the project, press stop so that way everything runs smoothly, and let's begin. I've already named my project accordingly. Oh, there we go, modded. So first thing we want to do is we want to click into level select sprite. Now, if we scroll over, not over here, okay, that's in a different sprite. Yep, it's in the main menu. All right, we'll get to that in a second. So as you can see, every level is here. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a custom level for level 33. Because if we go into costumes for level select, as you can see, if we go back, there is a costume for layer 32 or level 32. So we're going to make one for level 33. It really doesn't matter what the icon is. So I'm just going to, oh, the title does matter though. So I'm going to call it level 33. Drag my little mouse across, make a little square, and I'm just going to type level 33 on the thing so we know that it works. Level 33. All right, and a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. Perfect. All right, so that is the costume for level 33. Now what we want to do, as you can see, it checks to see if the list contains the previous level and what the costume name is. So essentially what this is checking, for example, for going from level 31 to 32, it checks to see what the previous costume name was. In this case, it was 31.3. And then it checks to see if that level has been beaten in the levels completed list. Now, if I click levels completed, you'll see that I only completed level 1 and 2 for that demo. But every level that you complete is added to that list no matter how many times you beat it. All right, so what we want to do is scroll down to the bottom. It makes things easier. Duplicate the bottom script, drag it out of the way so it's easier to edit, and then change this to level 32.4. That is the last costume used. Let's just confirm. Yep, level 32.4. Click back into the code, and then we are going to see if the level contains level 32. It's important to note that the reason why we're saying level 32 and not level 32.4 is because the way that I set up the game, all the points come before the one with no points. So it goes level 32.4, 0.3, 0.2, and then it goes level 32. So it adds level 32 to the levels completed. I hope that makes sense. Scroll back up. We'll get there. So you can see. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Of course, when it's recorded live, things go wrong. Let's go up a little bit more. This is my copyright. Paranoia is coming in now. Yes. uh, level. Oh, nope. I dragged these sprites out. Of course, we'll get to the interesting part in building levels in just a moment, but in order to build a level, we need to be able to play in it. Now, if you want, you don't have to duplicate the bottom one. At some points, it's easier to duplicate the top, but for right now, I duplicate the bottom to make things easier. All right, so now if we go and into the main menu, you will see all of this. You will see all of this, and essentially what this is doing is it's changing the save code. So I should probably explain that. The save code is an encrypted code that pretty much says how many levels you've completed, and it goes up to level 32. Now, obviously, now you know we're going to have a level 33, which means that we need to duplicate this. Get rid of that bottom script, put this script in, and now level 33. There we go. That now changes the save code. Now we need to go over to here, and we need to go all the way down. And as you can see right here, if 32 is less than the answer, subtract 2 divided by 7. That's decrypting it. Add level 33 to levels completed and set levels complete to 33. Drag that back in, and now we can save the level and play it. So now let's open the project and start. Little known hack, if you spam a ton of 9s into load save and then click play, then you can access all the worlds. Crazy, and all the levels. So if we go all the way over, as you can see, world 5, world 6, after this, level 33 appears, which is perfect. But when we press space, you'll notice nothing happens because there is no level data. There is no level here to be played. Instead, it goes into the previous one. So we need to add some level data. So let's do that. Let's make a level. Crazy. All right, so very exciting. Click into the levels script sprite. Now, over here, we want to, that limits the X. Oh, I'm stupid. Okay, ignore that for now. Go down to here, scroll all the way down to the bottom. Yes, over here, level equal to level 33. Now we're actually defining our level. So just to make sure that this works, let's say that we're going to set the level to 1. Don't worry about anything else. Let's just make sure that this works. Otherwise, we already have to fix several other issues. Let's test it. Oh, you might notice that I already messed that up. There we go. And now we just spam the right arrow until we get to 33. There we go, level 33. And as you can see, we're good to go, which is perfect. Now you'll notice that the background elements are different. We will worry about that later. All right, so I'm thinking that let's make a bit of, I don't know, let's make like a grassy flat area with some hills. So it's, the entire area is going to be green. So we'll just focus on that for right now. If we click into costumes, you'll notice other than the test level and the tutorial level and the movement test and the standard colors, we finally get into level 1-1. Now, this is the interesting part because technically, if you subtract these 4, the game technically has 51 playable levels, or 51 levels that you will normally see. However, you'll notice 66-2-1, that's half of 6-2, that's the other half of 6-2. 6-3 is all one level. You'll also notice, and it's very hard to see because numbers are very small, but you'll also notice that it's 5,535 pixels by 539 because this is all one sprite. So if I click Control A, you'll see I can drag the whole level across. This is all of 6-3 right here. Let's undo. Let's put all that back. Let's not mess anything up. All right, let's make our level. This probably should go along with regular naming conventions. So let's go 7-1. Of course, if you don't want to add new levels like this and you just want to alter the existing ones, you can just change these costumes and it will change the corresponding levels. So say you change 1-2, then it will just change 1-2. All right, 7-1, at least the layout, not the enemies or anything. So let's make a level. Let's do a flat grass plain, just like that. Now, obviously, this is no fun level to play on, so we're going to have to add some obstacles. Let's add one right there, and let's make a little staircase going down like this. It's very easy to just draw out levels to play on. Now, we need to move it over a little bit, so let's copy it, delete, paste, and then group. Now, what this is doing is pretty much this. You can also just press Control A, but I find this a much easier method to follow along with. Hold shift and drag it all the way out so that way just the edge is barely visible, and just continue dragging onto the level. It's important to note that this lighter color area in here is the actual screen, and this edge area should be treated as not the actual. Of course, you can change all of this, but because the screen doesn't scroll vertically, it's much easier to realize all of that. Of course, you don't have to follow along completely one for one with the level design, but I'm just kind of showing it off. Let's add a pit, and let's add another area. All right, copy, delete, paste group. And let's add one final jump to go a little bit higher, and then this is where the flag will be. All right, copy, delete, paste group. Perfect. Now, drag the level all the way back to the start, as you can see I'm doing now. Make sure that nothing ever is above this line or below, otherwise the player will not be able to stand on it. Also make sure that it's just slightly off the edge. Now click back into the code, and now click on 7-1. All right, we are also noticing that switching the backdrop, let's not have it switch to the Rift Dimension. Let's have a different level entirely, a different sky entirely. So let's do cool sky. Of course, you can name this whatever you want. And let's not make it green because green blends in too much with the background. So instead, let's make it a nice blue color. Something, it's worth noting that I am colorblind, something like that. Now, this in its own is a little bit plain, so you could leave it there. However, I'm going to add a little sun, and the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to make this yellow a bit of a fade, put it in the corner, and while that's satisfactory enough, we're going to get just a regular yellow square and put it right on the center of that. And as you can see, it looks like we have a sun that is glowing. Exactly what I want. Now, it's worth noting that this backdrop is not going to move. We're going to get to that in a second. All right, go back into the code, not for the background. Instead, we're going to go into levels, and we are going to go cool sky. All right, now let's do the background layers. This is the one closest to the player. So if I go into the full screen, you'll see that here we have gray mountains or light gray mountains. Here we have dark gray mountains and this dark green grass. This dark green grass and these dark gray mountains are all one layer. The light gray mountains are the back layer. So you'll notice that if I go into the costumes, you'll see the dark gray mountains and the grass. And then if I go into the background layer, you'll see just the light gray mountains. There's also the standard color sprite in here, so I know what colors to work with, but we'll just ignore that for now. Let's make ourselves a new backdrop. Let's call this cool backdrop. Of course, name it whatever you want. Now, it's worth noting that backdrops are either oversaturated or a little darker than the foreground, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this a little bit darker. Change your pen size to 100 if you want to go with something simplistic like myself, and just draw out a line like this. Man, I am such an artist. All right, it's worth noting that most of this will probably never be seen, at least on the edges. You want to make sure that it's for the most part flat. I'm not changing that. You want to make sure that it's for the most part flat on each side, just that way, especially left, just that way, you know, it's easier to see. Now what we're going to want to do, click back into your 7-1 level, take note of the size. You want it to be at least half of that plus 480 to account for the screen size. Oh no, make it about the same size actually. Make it just so that we are a little bit more safe. All right, we're going to take the cool backdrop. We're just going to drag it out until this number here is just past 3,500, which is coming up a little bit more. There we go. All right, now we have a successful backdrop. Let's go into the code, scroll down. Level, if the level is equal to level 33. Oh, I misspelt it. If the level is equal to level 33, switch costume to cool backdrop. Now, what we're going to do is instead of creating a whole new layer for that, I'm going to cheat just a little bit and use a technique that I also used for this game. I'm going to just drag that into the background layer. So now when we click into the back layer, we have another cool backdrop. Instead, here what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a little bit larger by dragging like that. It's okay if the x-axis is a little bit longer than it needs to be. And I'm just going to make this a little bit more saturated and a little bit more dark. Just that way it stands out from the standard back layer. Click into code, scroll down, click back into the background layer and drag level 33 into that layer. Now attach level 33 to that, go into the back layer, like, oh, my mouse is having a stroke, like that, and there. So now when I go into level 33, I should now have a level, 2 backdrop layers, and a standard backdrop. So let's click load, save, spam our 9s, and then spam our right arrow or the D key if you're one of those people. All right, level 33. Perfect. As you can see, we have a now functioning level. You'll notice that the backdrops, we can't see them. I made them a little bit too small. That's my bad. But you'll see they are there perfectly and they scroll just as expected. You'll also see this is the edge of the level. It does suddenly end, and if you go past it, the level does stop scrolling, so do be mindful of that. You'll see that if you die, no special code needed for that. If you press space, it just resets the level, so you don't even need to do any special things with that. Now, it would probably be nice just to extend the level a little bit, so that's what we're going to do. We are going to click back into the levels. You'll notice that in a level like 2-1, I think, or is it 2-2? Yeah, you'll notice in a level like 2-2, it's split up into 3 portions. It would be nice if our level did the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to make another level. We're going to go -1 like that, and then we are going to make a new costume and call that 7-1-2, just like that. And then this is just probably going to be a boss area, so we'll just create that. There we go. Just like that. Perfect. Now, the player will never naturally fall off that edge, but they will fall off of the other edge. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. For now, let's just make sure that all the functions work with this level. And to do that, we're going to have to, unfortunately, change our formatting. So if you're doing this, change it to level 33-2 and do that for everything that mentions level 33. So level 33.2, level 33.2. Let's go into the level select, obviously. This does need to be level 33.2. Oh, no, okay. You don't have to change any code there. Instead, what you type here is the level that it starts. So enter level 33.2 there. And main menu also needs to have level 33.2. No? Okay, I think now we're good. All right, very simple. Now, let's work on our level. Click the spacebar and then, oh, would be great if, that didn't happen. Click load save, like that, play. Unfortunately, I don't have any dev tools anymore, so I can't switch back over to the level. All right, so this is our level 33. This is perfect. Everything. It's always nice to do a quick little test and make sure that it all works properly, which this does. All right, so let's place in some enemies and some power-ups. So exciting. This was left over from development. It is the guide sprite. You can either click show here or click show here. This shows you 0, on the level as well as 0y. So this center right here is 0.00. That's very important to note because if you click into variables and click into level X, then it shows you the X position that the level is currently at, which shows us where we need to summon our enemies to. Because this doesn't have a proper built-in level editor and we have to change everything by hand, this is the easiest way to do it. So I'll try to add one of each enemy, just to spice things up a bit. At least if I can. If I can't, they're not logged for this world anyway. But what level is a level without a power-up? So let's add one of those first. Pick a power-up. I'm going to choose the cookie. And I'm going to go level, if level is equal to 33.2. All right, let's put the cookie along the black line in this spot. Let's go over a little more. Looks better there. All right, so we set this X position to whatever this X position is, because the way the game calculates the scrolling is it subtracts the level X from the my X. That is way too big a number. All right, so when we run the level now, it will appear too high, but we can't change the Y to 0 because then it will be too low. Actually, that looks pretty good. I'm gonna leave that. Yeah, let's put that there. All right, the cookie is in place. As you can see, this technique has been used a lot and it's very easy to place the cookie into the sprite itself. All right, I think now it's also important to note, I believe, if I recall correctly, the cookie handles all of the power-up resetting as well, so you probably shouldn't change any of these. Also, don't change anything that sets the my X to negative 99999 right at the start, otherwise you will have enemies appear randomly across your level, and you don't want that. So it acts just like the cookie does. It's perfect. Look at that. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. Now, let's put in our first enemy. Let's put in a standard nasty cube. You'll notice that there is 5. You can place down a maximum of 5 of most enemies, except, okay, I should probably go over limitations. That might be a good idea. So you can place down 5 nasty cubes, 1 nasty cube general, 1 cube dragon, 4 blockers, 5 beach cubes, 1 sun, 3 slime monsters, 1 slime monster that moves from left to right, 5 swampsters, 1 swamp monster, 1 car because it just recycles the same one, 1 rift creature, and 4 falling meteors. Alright, that's very important to note. Let's click into the first nasty cube, keep things very organized, and let's scroll down to the bottom. Now we're going to have to change a lot of values. Do not use level 32.2. Use the level 32.1 or level 31.2 script and change that to level 33.2. All right, let's go down a little bit. There we go. All right, let's also separate the scripts a little bit so you can test the positioning first. Make this a little bigger so you can see easier. Okay, it's on exactly 299. Let's just round up to 300. Now, I could go 0 and call it a day there. However, oh boy, he's in the middle of the ground. He's about halfway down. So now's a good time. Click into the costumes, 70 by 70. He's halfway down. That's about 35. So let's set the Y to 35 and adjust from there. Okay, now he's too tall. So he was just over half in the ground. So let's move him down to 30. And I think, okay, that's near perfect. He is floating a little bit. It's barely noticeable. However, because I am a perfectionist, I'm going to change that to 29. Just that way he's on the ground. Perfect. Okay. The positioning is done. Go down to here, change this to your level ID, in this case 33.2. Alright, and we need him to move. So here you'll see it changes these scripts. Now, by default, this one will be looped to 70. Just click it and see if it's far enough. Okay, it's too far, which is not good. So what we're going to do is we're just going to decrease it by 10 and see where he ends up. As long as he doesn't fall off the edge, it won't look too bad. Because as you can see, by default, they will never go off the edge, so no Y programming was programmed for them. Whoops. Alright, he's still a little bit too far, so let's change it to 55 because it looks like he can be on the edge. Oh, that's only 30 pixels. Let's change it to 50. Let's change it to an even 50, and we should now be good to go. Look at that. All right, since this now works, go into this, click that, see if it works over and over. And as you can see, he keeps going back and forth. Wonderful. No additional programming to eat it. Our job is done. Now let's put in a rising swamp monster. Yes, this seems like the perfect spot to put one in. The best part about the swamp monsters is that they're already programmed to already go to a pretty good height. You just got to set the original one. So let's get to it. Go to level 31.2, delete level 32.2. Go to, well, duplicate it. Don't delete the original. Change level 31.2 to level 33.2, and now we need to set its X position. Now this is quite a big creature, so we want to give it a little more space than we probably expect. 1094 seems good. Also, while I'm thinking about it, let's change that to level 33.2 as well. All right, he's really tall, but let's give him a test. Does he go into the ground? Yes, he does. And not only does he go into the ground, he's already completely submerged, so we don't even have to tamper with any of these values, which is perfect. However, it might be a little bit unfair to the player if he's not poking out a little bit because we can't see him there at all. So let's change that by just a little bit so he's poking out just a little bit. There we go. All right, and just like that, we're already good. Attach this to the bottom. Click on it completely, and let's see if he works properly, which he does. Excellent. All right, now this is technically a different swamp monster, but you might remember that in one of the World 3 levels, this swamp monster chased you. It's called Slime Monster Run. All you gotta do is just set up the original animation pretty much, and then he'll just be good to go. He'll always move as long as you keep these values the same. You probably don't even have to change any of these values. Do not change this value. Otherwise, the player might feel that it's going just a little bit too slow, whereas if it's behind it, it'll be okay. I'm not going to add this into this level though. All right. So, oh, I clicked stop by mistake. My bad. Oh, it's also important to note that guide will disappear whenever the green flag is clicked. Just a note, it's not going to like change the world. Um, it's not going to kill you, but it's just nice to note that you do have to put it back every time. So let's put the guide back. Show. All right, so far we have a nasty cube, and we have one of these enemies, which I got hit by. All right, now we have a gap. This seems like the perfect time to put a blocker in. The blocker was by far the worst enemy to implement because it had so many different ranges. So let's click into blocker 1. Let's go down to level 31. Oh, just level 31 this time. Okay, that was the last time it made a proper appearance. Unfortunate. Change this to level, you guessed it, 33.2. And there we go. Okay, once again, get rid of the repeat right now. We just want to make sure that it works. So what we're going to do here, the way you set it, it will always rise up and then down. It won't go up and then down all the way and then up all the way. It will always rise and then fall. So if you place it in the middle of the path you want it to go, that's, when you think about it, the area that you're placing it will always be the bottom. That's a better way of putting it. Okay, so let's take a look. Where is this spot on the level? 1624. So let's set my X to 1624. Perfect. Okay. Now let's just click that and see where he ends up. That's actually really good. Let's make sure that he goes up high enough, which he does. Now I want there to be a little bit of a challenge here, so I'm going to change these values to 30. By decreasing them, you will make them go lower, like you can see here. By increasing them, they will go higher. So now when I click this, essentially you need the cookie power up to progress beyond this point. But as you can see, he's going up and down properly. Excellent. Now, let's just fly across. Perfect. And we're almost at the end of the level. So let's add in a Beach cube, once again, same process as the nasty cube. Beach cube, there we go. In fact, they're so much the same that the code is the exact same for them. They function the same way. So wow, they weren't seen since level 29 in the final game. Brutal. All right, let's change that to, I wonder what we're going to change it to this time. Who would have guessed level 33.2? Let's change this to level 33. Nope, that's level 22, level 33.2 as well. And same process with the nasty cubes, 2019. Ooh, it's too close to the cursed year 2020. Let's go back a little bit. Yeah, let's go 2005. That seems like a good one. Now, 53 is going to be too high. As you can see, it is above that 0. So let's just flick that to negative. Wow. Yeah, that might be good enough. It's very hard to compare. It should be about as tall as the regular cube. It is down in the ground a little bit. I'm going to change its Y to negative 50. And that's good to go. Yes, that looks good enough. Now let's test and make sure that he will go as far as we need him to. Just 20. 20 is a little bit too short. Let's change all those values to 25. Let's go 27, and we'll probably stop it there. We don't need to go any further than that. All right. Now, at this point, I'm not going to add in any more enemies. The player has already had enough of a challenge of this terrible, terrible level. So let's just kill that. And then right up here is the level end. Now, like I said earlier, the level will stop scrolling, so it's important to make sure that it will never scroll beyond that point. Click into the flag, the finish line sprite. Go down. Level 31, we are going to change that to level 32. Level 33.2. And we are going to set the myx to 2776. 2776. And the y value is probably good enough. And let's make it a bit higher. Let's go 75. Perfect. Okay, so I should probably explain a little bit how the sprite works. It's not completely centered because originally the post was like, oh, I'm trying to shorten the height as demonstration. Originally the post was like this tall, but of course several issues, so I just drag it downwards. As well, the center of the sprite is here and not the pole. Of course, during development, I did think about changing that, but I decided against it because I had already worked around that issues for several levels. You know what I just realized? This is not the end of our level. So take this script and drag it out. Instead, we're going to go into the teleporter. Ooh. Now, go into over here. This script determines whether or not we're able to switch. So it's worth noting if you have multiple layers like in 32, make sure that 0.4 is first and then 0.2, things like that. Make sure that they are in descending order instead of ascending order. All right, level 32.2, we are going to now set pretty much the same parameters as that. So 2005. However, it's worth knowing that this flag is shorter. Let's get rid of the finish line. That doesn't need to be there. Oh, I also clicked the stop sign. Don't click the stop sign when you're editing levels. It just adds more headache. However, I'm used to it because it's a habit. Don't pick up that habit. It's a bad habit for when you're editing levels. There we go. All right, so let's just. Oh, all right. There's the big guy, and then the blocker, which can be eaten, and then that one. All right, this is the end of this portion of the level. 2000s. Oh, it wasn't 2005. It was something else, wasn't it? Click on the guide, click show, go over just a little bit, teleporter. Perfect. Now click save now. Whenever save pops up, it's probably a good idea to do it. Change this to level 33.2. Right. So 20, let's do 2777. That looks perfect. Okay, it's too low in the ground. Let's set it to 50. Right, now it's worth noting, I never changed the post of this flag, but I recommend you do. It won't break anything. If anything, it makes things so much easier. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to drag it down a little bit. It's not going to break any of the previous levels, and it shouldn't break yours. Unless you design that the cube must go under and then up around, but who's going to do that? All right, oh, there. Now, that's all good and all, but the flag's only there. When you touch this flag, nothing else is going to happen until you get over to here. So, again, in descending order, duplicate. If level is equal to 33.2, set level to 33. Now we are changing the level entirely. Get rid of this 0.5 movement lock to false and just drag all of that in. The movement lock to false is already there. Now, this level is complete, which means that we need to make more of the previous level. Click into levels, and let's add level 33. Get rid of that, get rid of that. All right, I saved it as 7-1-2 in this, and we're going to keep the backdrop at cool sky. Attach that to there. We're good to go. All right, this one's good. Go to the back layer, duplicate, level 33. Now, usually I do change the backgrounds, so I'm going to do the same here. However, you can change it to a regular one. I'm going to go to Plains-Hill 1. I didn't use it a whole lot in the actual game, so I'm going to use it here. Level 33.2, change that to level 33, and Plains Hills 2. Mix it up a bit. Why not? Actually, let's go Plains Hills 1, because the 1s and the 2s were designed to go together instead of not together. All right, so this all should work. So let's test out our level so far properly and make sure that it all works properly. Load save, bunch of 9s, play. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering what these are, this is literally just a screenshot of that level, and I just put it there. So I finished up the levels before I actually did it. You can make custom art if you want. I didn't. Anyway, and I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it the way it is, but the thumbnail of the level can be anything you want it to be. All right. Oh, no hit there. Oh, I'm going to hide that indicator just so we can see the health. Because there is a quirk that you may not have noticed. Let's teleport. We should teleport nicely. Nicely done. Excellent. All right, so you'll notice that our health does reset. That's just how it is. Ah, man. So you'll notice here, there's no boss. So maybe we should add that in. Let's add in a boss. So, still recording. Yes, this has been a very long recording. I apologize. Click the guide and click the show. I'm not going to show you how to add a custom boss, however, I will show you how to utilize an older one. Let's go into the cube general. Make this a little shorter. We should probably go along with the last one that was used, but it had to be an actual boss. That was an actual boss. All right, yeah, let's go with this one. Go with level 21. Delete everything below it. Make sure that it's duplicated before you delete. All right, drag that down to the bottom. Just like this. All right, if level is equal to level 33. Now let's show the level x variable again so we can see it. We don't want to progress too far, so let's go 500, about 500 even. It's very hard to actually get there with just tapping. 504. All right, let's do 504. Set my x to 504. Let's make sure that, of course, this all works as intended. All right, which it does. He's in the ground, but he's in the right x position. Let's set that to 0. All right, not quite there. Let's go a little bit lower. Let's go -20. Almost. All right, let's go -30. All right. All right, that's good. Perfect, put that in. Now, we need to trigger the boss fight just as we see it. So let's go to like right here. Make sure the center line is also quite a far distance from the boss, because once he stops talking, the player moves to the center. So we should be mindful of that. So let's go about right here. The whole boss should be on screen, or just about. That looks fine. All right, wait until level X is greater than 314. Make sure that's one number lower, so that way we stop just before, just after the pixel before we intend to stop. We're getting down to the pixels here. All right, let's change up the dialogue, like fun level, no, darn, you must pay. Something like that, just something stupid. All right, now that should be good. For the most part, his coding is already set up in such a way that we'll be fine. So go into, okay, this is perfect. Right here, this is the boss code itself. I'm going to stop it so that way it doesn't lag that much. So this is the death. Yes, this is the death. Yeah, okay, so right here you'll see this broadcast that the general has been defeated. All that does is it summons this flag. This flag will summon at, hopefully not too far so we don't have to change anything. Oh, did I pass it? Yes, I did. 1600. We should be good to go. Let's just click into levels and make sure that our level does indeed extend to at least 1600. Okay, we're good. Perfect. Um, that's excellent. Click into the Nasty Cube General again. Click code. We're already good to go, essentially, because the level is not equal to level 31. That's, I think, the final bit that we see of this enemy. He's just a proper enemy. So if you want him as a proper enemy, change some of that. Now, we're all good to go. He's pretty much ready. However, we should probably fix the actual level itself. So click back into level sprite and go up to the top. Now, this is where we see it. This is where level is restricted across the right-hand side of the x-axis. So let's change that level 33. We need to make sure, because the flag is not here on this level, so the player can't progress too far. So let's change that. Let's say that the player cannot progress past level X 1900. If he does, set it to level X 1899. Just something simple. I'm not checking those values, but just something like that. And now our level should be good. So let's test it. If it works, then we finished the level and we are good to go. And you can make to your heart's content. If it's not finished, then we will be prepared to fix any bugs in the way. But it should be good. We already have the cookie. There we go. Let's get rid of that nasty cube. There's that. That's not good. Oh, that's not good either. Now you could make this into a very difficult level, because when you die, this cookie does reset. You do lose the power up, so just be cautious of that. I didn't change that though. Oh, and we stopped. We can still jump, but we can't progress left or right. And now, as you can see, we're in the center. Oh yeah, do make sure that he moves appropriately. That would make a lot of sense. All right, look at that. The level is complete. And that's it. We beat the game, kind of. And with that, that's all. Have fun making your own levels. If you want to use this template for the level select, click into costumes, just click on any of the level, click the title, copy, click undo if you have moved it around at all. Go into level 33.2, paste, click 7-1 modded level. Doesn't that title again. This is just the thumbnail. The only thing that matters about these costumes are the name. As a demonstration, if I change this to level 33 and I click the flag, and then I go into space, load save, etc., spam a bunch of nines, and then click play, and I go over, then it will start me right at the boss fight. So just do be cautious of that. Now, if you want to, maybe make separate level starting points. It's like maybe one part starts you at 33.2, the other part starts you at 33. That's all good to go as well. But other than that, have fun playing around. And I think right after this is the I can't remember if the schedule might have shifted around. I think after this, it's the full reveal of the new Cube Survive game. So please stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching and have a great time working on new levels.